You know, when we picture ancient armor, we usually see some static bronze mannequin in a museum, right? But that metal, it's so much more than just protection. It's like a fossil record. It tells a story, the story of how a society fights, who's in charge, and what it even means to be a warrior. So let's decode that story together.
I mean, really think about it. What if every single curve, every material, every design choice wasn't just for looks, but was a direct answer to a life or death question being asked on the battlefield? And that's exactly what we're going to dive into. We're going to see how Greek armor evolved, piece by piece, to meet the changing face of war. Okay, so our story kicks off way back in the Bronze Age with the boar's tusk helmet. This thing wasn't just head protection, it was a billboard. It's made from rows of tusks stitched onto a leather cap, and every single tusk represents a successful, dangerous hunt. It's literally a wearable resume, a status symbol that screamed, "I am a proven hero," before the guy even drew his sword. And that really gets us to our first era, the Age of Heroes. This was a time of individual champions, high-status warriors whose armor was designed for a very, very specific kind of combat. See the guy wearing that boar's tusk helmet? He wasn't marching in some huge army. No way. He was an elite fighter, probably zipping around on a chariot that was basically a mobile weapons platform. He'd ride it into the fight, then hop off for some epic one-on-one combat. The armor from this period was for the few, the powerful, and yeah, it was spectacular. And to protect these champions, you needed some serious hardware. We're talking full bronze plate systems, like the famous Dendra Panoply, and these absolutely enormous shields. The tower and figure of 8 shields literally stretched from your neck down to your ankles, wrapping around you. Now that's almost total protection for one guy, but it's incredibly clumsy. I mean, you couldn't exactly march in a tight formation with one of these things, right? This was armor for a duel, not for a line battle. But then, everything changed. Warfare basically became a team sport. The individual hero was out, and the citizen soldier was in, fighting shoulder to shoulder in a dense formation called the Phalanx. This completely new way of fighting created a whole new set of engineering problems, and it demanded a complete rethink of a warrior's gear. And the number one problem they had to solve was this: the othismos. Now, this wasn't just guys swinging swords. This was a literal bone-crushing shove. Imagine 2 massive formations of men and shields just smashing into each other and pushing with everything they had. Surviving this wasn't about dodging a spear. It was about not getting physically crushed to death by the sheer pressure of the men behind you. And the answer was this absolute masterpiece of engineering, the bell cuirass. This breastplate, with its very distinctive flared rim, became the heart of the Hoplite's equipment. But the most important features, they're the ones you probably wouldn't even notice at first. Okay, look really close at the edge here. That bronze isn't just folded over. It's painstakingly rolled around a solid core of iron wire. Now, this was an incredibly time-consuming and expensive process, so you have to ask, why on earth would they go to all that trouble? Well, because that rim isn't for decoration. In engineering terms, it's a flange. That flared bell shape and those super reinforced edges, it's all a sophisticated solution designed to resist bending and buckling. It spreads that immense pressure of the othismos across the entire structure, stopping it from collapsing inward on the soldier. So the crucial point here is this, and we're not just guessing. Research from Cambridge University Press makes it super clear. The entire hoplite armor system, the helmet, the shield, and especially this cuirass, was designed to work together. It was a machine for survival, built for one purpose: to keep a soldier from being crushed or suffocated in the chaos of the phalanx. But you know how it is. Battlefields never stay the same. As warfare evolved to include more cavalry, more light troops, a brand new problem came up. Pure brute force protection just wasn't enough anymore. Now, a soldier needed to actually see and hear what was going on around him. And this comparison just illustrates that shift perfectly. Over on the left, you've got the iconic Corinthian helmet. It offers incredible protection, and let's be honest, it has a look of pure theatrical menace. But it was like fighting inside a metal bucket. Your hearing and your peripheral vision were shot. But then on the right, you see the evolution. Helmets like the Chalcidian and the Boeotian now have openings for the ears, wider eye holes. It was a direct trade-off. Give up a little protection for a whole lot more battlefield awareness. And that was crucial for hearing commands and spotting a cavalry charge before it was too late. But the innovation wasn't just in the design. It was also in the materials. For centuries, historians were totally puzzled by accounts of armor made not from metal, but from linen. They called it the Linothorax, and it was famously worn by Alexander the Great.
It seems kind of impossible, doesn't it? I mean, how could something made of cloth possibly provide any real protection on a battlefield? This was a mystery that baffled scholars for years and led to one of the coolest experiments in modern archaeology.
So, researchers at the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay just decided to find out for themselves. They started the Linothorax project, and they painstakingly rebuilt this armor using only authentic materials, layers of linen glued together with animal hide glue. And then they did the fun part. They subjected it to real-world weapons tests.
And the results were stunning. What they found was that a lamination of about 15 to 20 layers of linen was not only way lighter and more flexible than bronze, but it was also remarkably good at stopping arrows and slashing attacks. This was a genuine high-tech material innovation that gave soldiers a huge advantage in mobility. Which brings us to our final phase. With Alexander the Great, the whole scale of war just exploded. The challenge was no longer just about protecting an individual soldier. It was about efficiently equipping a massive, professional, state-funded army that was out to conquer the known world.
Their solution was the Macedonian breakthrough. They systematically started switching from expensive, hard-to-get bronze to much more available iron, taking advantage of new blacksmithing techniques. They simplified production processes, stripping away all the costly, individualized decorations of the past. Suddenly, armor wasn't some custom item paid for by a rich citizen, it was mass-produced by the state. And it was this industrial approach to warfare that really made Alexander's world-conquering army possible.
So, after all that, let's pull all these threads together. What does this whole journey through helmets and breastplates and shields really tell us about the Greeks? Well, this timeline really says it all. The armor is a mirror, reflecting the changing identity of the warrior himself. He starts as an individual hero, defined by his personal wealth and his skill. Then he becomes a citizen soldier, basically an interchangeable part in a city-state's military machine. From there, he evolves into a tactical soldier, valued for his awareness and flexibility. And finally, he becomes a professional soldier in a state-run army equipped for the logistics of building an empire.
Which leaves us with one last thought. You know, the armor of our time is often digital. It's cybersecurity, drones, remote warfare. It's designed for a battlefield where the enemy might be an ocean away. So, centuries from now, when someone looks back at our armor, what kind of story will it tell about who we were and how we chose to fight?